It's such a treat. You know her as the popular crusading money financial editor for the Toronto Sun. Now she's the VP of Marketing and Business Development for Cambria, and we'll find out how that path developed. But in the meantime, Linda Leatherdale, it's so wonderful to have you here today.
Val, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
You are a money guru. Let's talk a little bit about that journey, if you will.
Yeah.
Where did you start and how did you end up here?
Oh my goodness, where did I start? Aurelia is my hometown, Gordon Lightfoot's hometown too. And I started in a little paper called the Packet and Times. And then, you know, the big time is Toronto. Everybody wants to break into it. Long story short, I put out a magazine called Ontario Business Magazine for the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. My husband, photographer, we ended up at the Edmonton Sun newspaper. Peter Pocklington was my columnist out in Edmonton, and came back. I worked with Garth Turner at the Toronto Sun, and then Doug Creighton decided to start up the Ottawa Sun. I was the inaugural business editor. My husband was the photo editor, and then I came back and was the money editor in Toronto. And what a ride. I was with Sun Media for more than 20 years.
Crazy. And
yeah.
People really turned to you for advice and help. Can you think of some of the things that you did while you were editor for Toronto Sun?
Oh my goodness, fighting back for the little guy, always, always. But there was a few things. I don't know whether you remember, the President of the United States at the day was saying that we have these telemarketers feasting on people, loan brokers. And I remember fighting back on that and finally getting a bill passed called the Loan Brokers Act. They called it the Linda Leatherdale Bill at Queen's Park. So that was kind of an honor. I believe in real estate, I truly do, and I believe that it is the backbone of our economy, albeit that this is a really hot market, trying to cool it down. But back then, I remember when I bought my first home, I borrowed money from my RRSP and I had to pay taxes. And I said, this isn't right. So what an honor to be sitting in the budget in Ottawa and see the home buyer's plan. And I was behind that. $20,000 of your money tax-free to buy your first home. I remember being and doing a seminar on real estate, and Claude Bennett, the then CMHC chair, I convinced them on 5% down mortgages, but I said, be careful, because we saw what, you know, when you bite off more than you can chew, subprime south of the border and what happened there. So responsible lending, but I was happy to see some of these things passed. But my biggest, the Taxpayer Protection Act, fighting back for the little guy. And of course, with different governments, that's gone out the window. But direct democracy is what I was fighting for everybody. So yeah, I was passionate about helping anybody and everybody when I could.
Well, and you made home buying possible for so many people with the changes that you championed. Yeah. So good on you. And you're only just starting. There's so much more in store for the world, thanks to Linda Leatherdale. So thank you for all that hard work. In fact, it's not just me saying thank you. You've been really heavily honored for all the good things you've done.
Well, what was truly an honor was to get the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal. And that was for all my crusading for taxpayers primarily, and it was a real honor to be there with a former Liberal MP, Michelle Simpson. Now, she got hers because she put all of her expenses online. And I don't know whether you remember that. That's when Justin Trudeau was her seatmate up in Ottawa. She got ostracized not only by the Liberals, her own party, but by the Conservatives and the NDP. Nobody wanted that transparency. I want it for the taxpayers. So what an honor to get that medal with her, and what an honor it is now for every Saturday. I am part of the Roy Green Show on the Chorus Radio Network right across the country. So that's 6:40 a.m. in Toronto, CMHL 900 a.m. in Hamilton, right across the country. Michelle Simpson is part of our team. We're called Beauties and the Beast. So there's Roy Green, he's the beast. Catherine Swift, former chair of the CFIB, now Working Canadians, and myself. And we take on the matters of the day every Saturday at 4:30.
You've managed to accomplish all of this, and still you've had some challenges in your life, right? Some personal challenges.
Well, yes, and it's been a long road on that too, but my daughter Sky was 9 when she got Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she ended up having a stem cell transplant.
She was 9?
9 years of age, and back then I did a show called Moneyline on Rogers, and Ronnie Hawkins was always on the show with the longest serving broker, Fred Ketchen. In any event, Ronnie wrote a song for Sky him and his son Robin, and it was called Sky Blue. And they had Tara Macri, this young hawk who now starred in Hairspray and $1 Million Quartet. They sent it to sick kids. We played it. Tara performed. We did fundraisers for Reach for the Sky. So what a wonderful way to give back. The sad news is she went on and she was going to study interior design in Scotland, met a gentleman. She ended up staying here and going to Georgian College. She fainted in class, ended up at Princess Margaret Hospital. It's leukemia. She now needs a bone marrow transplant to survive.
So how many years had transpired?
This is about 8 years, or so. She was 22, so she was 9. So yeah, in any event, our son, Austin, was a 9 out of 10 match, so we celebrated. But the doctor said, we're gonna go after a 10 out of 10, which is hard because some people never get a match. They found 2 10 out of 10 matches. So here I am at Princess Margaret. Her boyfriend got down and bended knee, proposed.
Before
the bone marrow transplant. I'm doing the Roy Green show live from Princess Margaret. Roy, her boyfriend just proposed. We're all cheering. Then she gets the transplant. And now every day there's, well, every week there's a letter by her bedside. And I said, what? It was from the donor. Oh. And we're not supposed to know who the donor is. So I am now reading the letters live on the Roy Green show. About 3 or 4 weeks later, Roy calls me and says, the donor found us. And so we did media south of the border. She was from West Virginia, be a match, 1 match here in Canada. And we did a media blitz trying to say, just get swabbed. You don't know whose life you're going to save. She and her husband drove from West Virginia to be at Sky's wedding at their farm, Ridgeberry Farm in Niagara. I don't think there was...
It's not easy to be a bone marrow donor.
Well, I think it's easier than it used to be. I think now they just take it from the arm. It used to be from the back. But in any event, you're right. There's a protocol you have to follow. But I will say that 1 swab that you get, she swabbed 11 years before she got the call to save my daughter's life. Yeah.
And now they're connected.
And now they're connected.
Amazing.
I know. It's, and we got to thank our healthcare system too.
So all this time, you're still powering through with your career and advocating for people in terms of financial, issues. Do you have any advice for someone who is getting into the financial business or just wanting to further their career in general? I know you're a big advocate of networking.
I have some, I was blessed that I worked in the media. Look at the people I got to meet. I will say, with Cambria now, I'm meeting some very interesting people as well. But network. I always say, be passionate and love what you do. And I loved being a crusading journalist. But I got to tell you, I'm loving being VP of Marketing and Business Development for this company called Cambria. And how I got to Cambria, it's all Ronnie Hawkins. It's who you know.
It doesn't even make sense. How does Ronnie Hawkins and countertops go together?
I know, I go hard rock hard. But anyway, Ronnie was on my TV show for a long time, and he'd always say, the big time's just around the corner, you know. And then, for him, he kept on saying, I'm going to make the big time. So it's interesting. Our CEO, Marty Davis, and it's a privately held family-owned business. Our whole family is the biggest fans of the band. So this is how small the world is. Think about this. He has a home in Palm Desert. He's golfing with Peter Pocklington, who wrote for me in Edmonton. What you don't know, Peter Pocklington was a roadie for Ronnie Hawkins way back in London, Ontario.
Come on.
So Marty, our CEO, had just been at Lee Von Helm's place before he passed away, and he wanted Lee Von Helm to be a brand advocate because his company only started in year 2000, and he wanted Cheryl Tiegs, he wanted all these celebrities. Lee Von turned him down. So Peter Pocklington is golfing. He says, well, go to Canada and get Ronnie Hawkins. What you don't know is Robbie Robertson, Garth Hudson, the boys from the band were all Ronnie's Hawks. And Bob Dylan stole them to go on the tour when he went electric. And that's history in the making. So Marty comes to Canada and hires Ronnie. And Ronnie says, Linda, phones me, the big time just arrived. And so the next thing I know, I've got the CEO on my television show, thanks to Ronnie. And the next thing I know, I left the Sun and I'm being flown to Minnesota and I've been offered this position and I'm going, wow, how do I accomplish this? And I gotta tell you, it's now 8 years. I was hired on April Fool's Day, it's 8 years.
Well, when we come back, I want you to talk about why you're so proud of Cambria and the products that they make. And maybe we'll drop a few more celebrity names. How does that sound?
I love it.
We'll talk about the one who kissed you on the lips.
I can't wait to tell.
More with Linda Leatherdale when we come back. Well, we're back with Linda Leatherdale. She is a financial guru and editor for so many things that we've read and watched, and you've gone into the marketing business, VP of Marketing for Cambria. Before the break, we talked so much about your personal life and your rise through the ranks in the industry, but now you've made the switch to be the marketing VP for Cambria. Why are you so proud of Cambria?
Well, it's an interesting company, you know. You hear Donald Trump say, "Make America great again." Well, Cambria is doing that, Donald Trump, so move over.
One countertop at a time.
One countertop at a time. It's owned by the Davis family. They're out of Minnesota. They actually started out in the dairy business 70 years ago and formed Davisco Foods. It became a global entity. In year 2000, there's a grandfather, the father, and then the son, Marty, our CEO, and there's brothers are involved too. Anyway, they were going to invest in this technology for quartz countertops, quartz surfaces, and it was a Breton technology. Well, Marty, being the entrepreneur he is, he said, why would we be an investor? Let's start our own company. And he called it Cambria because the family's Welsh and the name Cambria. What is so interesting is the quartz is mined here in Canada, and it's shipped to Minnesota where we have a manufacturing plant that has just doubled in size. I began 8 years ago on April Fool's Day, and I've watched this empire grow North American wide. It's privately held, family owned, so no Wall Street voodoo, no Bay Street voodoo, no, you know, this is investing in their people, investing in their product to have a #1 product. And I know I'm selling, but it's true. And now they just formed Cambria International. So this North American product is now being exported to China, to Europe, to Ireland, where we just did a series of new ad campaigns on the set of Vikings and Game of Thrones. Oh, wait till you see these ads. It's going to blow your mind. And it's all with their heritage. So they're very family oriented. It reminds me of the days when I began at the Toronto Sun with Doug Creighton, when you got a letter saying that I'm making a profit, so I'm going to share the profits with you. Cambria is now making a profit, so it's sharing the profit with us.
And the product is so beautiful, durable, gorgeous.
Oh yes, non-porous, it won't stain. I mean, here's a little message, I guess, advertising. But yeah, it's stain resistant, scratch resistant, it's green guard. We have Mariel Hemingway, she's an actress, but a healthy living advocate. She's one of our brand advocates and gives that message. This company also believes in giving back. So Marty, a few years ago, decided juvenile arthritis because he had a sports celebrity friend. By the way, we do a lot of sports marketing, that had a child with juvenile arthritis. So we started a camp in the United States, sending kids with juvenile arthritis to camp. Last year, we did our first camp here in Canada. We sent 100 children to the cohorts. This year, we're doing 140 kids up in Muskoka.
And it's called Camp Cambria.
Camp Cambria. We pay the whole shot for these children. Mariel Hemingway, being a healthy living advocate, will come in and she will do yoga classes with the children. And I got to tell you, it makes my heart warm. South of the border, we do fundraisers for our Camp Cambria Foundation. So we have a relationship with Steven Tyler I need to talk about.
All right, yes, we are going to talk about this.
Okay.
You have a personal connection with Steven Tyler.
Well, we have a magazine that goes throughout North America, 900,000. He's on the cover of one. But we put Cambria in his Nashville home. So I got a call. I'm going to be now in Niagara Falls, and he's performing. And I'm like, I'm backstage with Steven Tyler. And this is when he brought that kid with Down syndrome in, and he let them play the cowbells with him. And I got to say, I cried. What a wonderful, kind soul he is. But I was backstage with him, and he kissed me on the lips. And I'm like, can I get home? And my husband's sleeping. How was it? Steven Tyler kissed me. Anyway,
And he's fine with that, right? Because
it's Steven
if
Tyler.
Steven Tyler kisses your wife, that's cool.
That's cool. Anyway, to make a long story short, he started up a charity called Janie's Fund to raise money for children, girls who have been abused. So we have a gallery in downtown Toronto, and we opened up that gallery during TIFF last year, and we raised over $100,000 for him, and he came, and he was with us, and then we went to his concert at the Sony Center the next night, and who backstages with him? The little boy with Down syndrome. Aww. So I got to tell you, we have some great people, but Big and Rich are on the cover. And again, Steven performed for free at Camp Cambria to raise money for the kids. Big and Rich did the same. And so we just have such a great relationship with all of these stars.
And they love the product, which is awesome.
Well, Steven, as I mentioned, he did a country album, and he was living in Nashville, so he put Cambria in his home. Breaking from Bad, the star, he put Cambria in his Malibu home because he loves it. Cheryl Tiegs was a brand advocate. She has Cambria in her home, and so does Mariel Hemingway. So it's quite a list of.
We could go on and on.
I know we could.
We have about 90 seconds left. Can you tell us what's happening with the Canada's 150th in Cambria?
Oh my goodness. So Ronnie Hawkins, back to Ronnie. He is one of the few Americans, because that's where he's from Arkansas, to win the Order of Canada. We are so proud. I am the chair of the Bronte BIA. We're having the biggest ever festivities in Bronte Harbor, that's Oakville, on July 1. We're bringing Ronnie in. We're going to have a Club Cambria with our product in it, and we are going to celebrate Canada's birthday in huge style.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Val, it's a real pleasure to be here with you,
Oh my goodness. And you just keep rocking the world, would you?
As long as Ronnie's by my side, we'll rock on.
Where do we go to get more information on Cambria?
You can go to CambriaCanada.com. Certainly, we also have, of course, Facebook and Twitter. Cambria Quartz is how to get information. Linda Leatherdale, LindaLeatherdale.com. Try to keep that website up to date.
And your daughter's doing well now, right?
My daughter is married, and she is moving to Niagara, and she is doing amazing.
Brilliant.
And we have a new blue Cambria called Sky. Sky Blue.
Love it.
Sky Blue.
It all comes together.
It all comes together.
Thanks again.
Okay.